Yo, welcome back to my... Oh, hang on. Hang on. Come on. Come on. I'm bracing for impact. Because the Reserve Bank of New Zealand, fasten your seatbelts, ladies and gentlemen, just hiked rates 0.75%. The single largest OCR hike in OCR history. Official cash rate history. So this is huge news. Now, what does this mean? Well, the Reserve Bank has said their forecasts are a fall of house prices of just 20% from the peak of the month was April or May or March or something, 2021, where from before the pandemic to that point they had gone up. So from lockdown of March to that point, they had gone up 50% in that time. And most people thought they were going to go up another 50%, because not even the pandemic could stop house prices going up to the moon, baby, to the moon. So they're suggesting that house prices are only going to fall in the middle of next year, 20% in total from the absolute peak. And then from there, they might hang around at that point for a bit, but then they're going to go back up. So it's only going to be a little blip on the radar. Can you imagine it? Oh, I could take my seatbelt off. Nah, because it's not right, I don't think. So it's my opinion. I have seen, well, this isn't even opinion, this is fact. I have seen that Central Auckland is 35% down on the peak already, before the rate hike. 35% down. I have seen the Wellington region down. I saw a house sell with a GV of 1.2 million. I saw it sell for 675,000 with an asking price of over 800,000. Does that sound like just 20%? It's already there. The water is already in 5 compartments, baby. And they're saying it's only going to go into 2. So, what's going to happen? What does this mean? Well, we've got Christmas coming up like everyone else in the world. And I think that either one or two things will happen, is that people will spend too much, or they will spend less, but it's still too much because they're all struggling with their incomes. They will either, spending will really contract, and that affects holidays, tourist places, hospitality, retail stores. People might even petrol stations. People aren't going away. Lots of things. So, a lot of businesses may struggle, or people will do what they often do, and they look. I just want to have a good Christmas. I'm just going to buy the stuff that I can't afford. I'll put it on a credit card and I'll worry about it later. Now, come the 1st of January, this is when the pain starts to hit, because we've still got people on lower rates of interest that haven't faced the reality of those higher rates. So when the new rates come along to them, that's when it's when everyone's on a higher rate of interest, that's when it's really going to start imploding, in my opinion. But 1st of January, 25 cents more per litre on fuel. A new tax is coming on board. 25 cents is a lot. Okay, that'll bring the price of like 91 up to like $3. And what that's going to do is that's going to increase the cost of other goods as well, isn't it? Because everything's transported, plane, train, truck, or boat. So everything's transported. It's going to cost more. Workers are going to start asking more for pay rises, because the cost of fuel's gone up, and it's just going to keep inflating away. So you've got people struggling from Christmas, new interest rate hikes, people rolling over to new rate hikes, 25 cents a litre fuel tax, and in February, boom, baby, boom. They're predicting another 0.5% rate hike by February. But what if we see that inflation accelerates between the next rate hike, where they've done this big rate hike, right? They've given it all she's got, Captain, and they've realised inflation has sped up. What if that happens? Then they're going to have to do another 0.75, and they might have to go, oh man, we're losing control, and we might have to do more. Who would know? Maybe they'll do none. Maybe they'll do a 0.25. We never know. But, I think that they think they're in more control than they have, and I think they have less control than they realise. The Reserve Bank has also said for the consumer to be very responsible with spending at Christmas. They're saying slow your spending down, because if you don't slow your spending down, we're going to have to keep hiking rates. So, you've got to help us by slowing your spending down. They're worried. Now, what does that mean for the guy who's got a hot, like a coffee cart? People love their coffees here. So they go in for their morning walk and they go get a coffee, and he parks up every day and he makes his coffee. And, you've got to sell a lot of coffees to make, $300 in a day sort of thing. So, because you only sell coffee at certain times. Well, if people stop buying that coffee and he goes, now I'm only making 150, for example, my income's been cut in half. That's a business that can't survive. And there's going to be other business like retail, hospitality. The layoffs will come. Construction. Who's going to be able to buy, to afford to service the cost of a new home, which $1 million doesn't go far. When you're talking, 7-8% interest rates. Who's going to pass the stress tests to get loans? Because right now it's 8%, but they might have to move that up with this giga rate hike that happened yesterday. So, I think we're going to see a much further dive. And yeah, I might be talking about New Zealand, but this is happening where you are too, is it not? This is happening in Europe, United States, Australia. Everywhere is got different amounts of interest, but they've all got the same problem: too much debt, too much inflation. And so the cure is hiking rates, like what just happened yesterday. So, how do you see this playing out? But I see this being I think you're going to start seeing there's going to be a lag. So people are still on low rates of interest because a lot of people went, oh, screw this, I'm fixing for 5 years or 2 years or 3 years. Smart ones fixed for 5 years at under 3% back just 18 months ago or something. So they're going, phew, I've got 3 years where I can, have this low rate of interest. Maybe they're paying it back quicker and stuff. Maybe they can't afford to with the inflation. But every day going forward, every day somebody is rolling off a mortgage onto a new rate of interest that is much higher than what they had. Somebody's already got a higher rate of interest looking at what's coming at the end of this term. I fixed for 2 years and it's been 6 months, and in the 6 months rates keep going up. What's going to happen in 18 months? See, the Reserve Bank is making all these assumptions that, inflation's going to peak at, the OCR is going to peak at. But how do they actually know? How do they know it's not going to get worse? I think it's going to get worse before it gets better, a lot worse. And while I could be wrong, I think that they are either naive at the RBNZ or they're lying. Because if they actually came out and said, well, we see a 50% reduction in house prices, the market would go into a panic. Suddenly real estate agents wouldn't be able to sell. So there'd be a whole bunch of problems with them telling the truth. So they could just be making it up, to tell the bad news in a good way so it doesn't sound so bad. So that was yesterday. We'll keep updated. The other thing is with diesel here, it didn't get a tax cut of 25 cents a litre, but it got cheaper road user charges. But from what I was told, diesel and petrol work out about the same price by the time you take what you call the road user charges. So if you have a diesel vehicle, doesn't matter what it is, but the heavier it is, the more you pay. You pay road user tax on that, road user charges on that vehicle. And so by the time you added those to the cheaper cost of diesel, it worked out about the same as petrol, but was more economical, more like, you know, you could get more Ks to a less thirsty. Well, now diesel without road user charges is still way more expensive than 91. So when these road user charges come back on, suddenly the cost of transport, and that's transporting goods and services, everything's going to get more expensive to bring to the stores, to transport, and that is very inflationary. Are people going to request pay rises to now cope with the new cost of fuel and the new interest rate and all these sorts of things? And the interest rate is also, for a short term, is actually inflationary, because a business that now has to pay more for capital is now going to have to pass that cost on to the consumer. So we probably are stuck in a perpetual inflationary, upward inflationary spiral. Anyway, I would really like to shout out to my 9 subscribers. Now, I know that's not many, but I didn't know if I was going to get 1 when I started this channel, and now I've got 9 awesome subscribers, man. So subscribe to the channel, like the videos. It really helps me out. It motivates me, because, as I said, I didn't think anyone would want to listen to me. So right, if there's anything you want me to talk about, to cover, to get my opinion on, put it in the comments. And yeah, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.